We live in a universe that exists, and we value, therefore, existence. We strive to maintain it and improve it, make it more secure, and we resist losing it. Especially then, we resist death. If we don't resist death, then we have it, and we don't exist. In other words, the universe is biased towards persons that want the universe to exist, and want it to exist in a way that they conceive of as being best for their continual existence and what they value. We therefore have preferences against death and for existence, and preferences towards those things we think help our existence and what we value in existence, and an aversion to those things that are to the contrary. For us, from our perspective and our experience of existence. To love is therefore to be a contributor to other person's existence, not just one's own. But of course your love may not be appreciated in that you're encouraging something that they actually believe to be destructive, or you're not encouraging and helping that which they believe to be helpful. So if I see something that I think is helpful to you, and I start encouraging you in that direction and destroying probably something that I see as unhelpful to you, but you see to the contrary, then to you I am not loving, and you feel you need some protection against me. So if we appear to be contrary to what they understand to be helpful in their continual existence and prosperity, then we are seen as a cost, something to be changed, altered, distanced from, certainly not encouraged. We might be seriously meeting another person's needs, but then not realize it, but rather be very concerned and focused on the things we do that are not meeting the needs that they have as they understand it and believe to be the case. Should you therefore occupy yourself in meeting these other needs that they think are important and you do not? Well, no, that would be untrue, wouldn't it? Because you want their true welfare, and that has to be according to as you understand it. But there will be a mismatch, therefore, them wanting what you're not giving and not wanting what you are giving, according to their different view and experience that indicates to them what's of value and what's of cost. To have your view changed, you need to understand the pros and cons of certain behaviours and find that understanding acceptable. So it's your experience and understanding to date that determines what you currently value and know and understand. So there may be whole blind spot areas that we haven't come to understand, whole areas of ignorance of experience, lack of training. You might not have experienced a loving mum or a loving dad. You may long for such, but not be clear on how to be it or gain it, because you have a fanciful idea of what such is. And by fanciful I mean one that's not actually valid, in that your particular idea of, say, a loving mum or a loving dad would not be very serviceable as regards existence and continual existence. So we can imagine that there's some spectrum of values that contribute towards existence, and some spectrum of values that don't, and an understanding, therefore, a wisdom that does build towards continual creativity in existence, and a lack of wisdom or a misunderstanding. That's beliefs and so on, values, misunderstandings, from the point of view of they're defined to be those that don't. And people may or may not be furnished with such accordingly at any given time. And the discord in society is that we have a different understanding and lack of, and degree of appreciation of what would bring harmony, our life, creativity, the things that we value. So what do we value? We value existence. We value a greater ability to be creative. We found we need varying levels of security and freedom to achieve that. We found we need various abilities and understandings and wisdom to achieve it. And we just know that we don't know the full picture, and some of us don't even realise that. Some of us realise it acutely, and they perhaps go on to seek wisdom and be relatively wise. And some of us don't realise our ignorance, our poverty, so to speak, in that regard. And so, are not very wise, in fact, despite our belief that we are. We look around us and some people seem to be achieving existence and the things that we value more than others. And we wonder if it's their particular value system and understanding that's brought that about. So we might model ourselves to some extent, be receptive to what they think is a success and helpful. So we might listen to a successful person who's successful in some dimension that we value. We start to model ourselves on what we think have been their beliefs and values that have achieved whatever it is we look at in them and value. But we may see things as a zero-sum game, that their prosperity means other people's lack of it, and has meant it for us in particular. Do we now ruthlessly copy them and achieve better, or to some degree, what they have achieved that we value? Or do we recoil and say this is not the way? I want to be the person that doesn't cause this misery around them. So you might be repelled now from whatever they think is their true wisdom and so on. You simply won't hear them. Now, depending on your experience and your understanding and misunderstanding, you may model yourself on the wrong persons. As regards what truly does bring you life and vitality and the goodness that you think is in your best interest. In other words, you can be your worst enemy without knowing it, of course. All we can say is nobody knowingly does what's destroying them. And by them we mean what they identify with as most important. They might identify with the present as being most important. And by experience you may find that brings a great deal of unhappiness. You might identify with your own happiness as being of paramount importance, dominating almost everything you do. And then you might find that by experience that results in being very unhappy. Did you have to have the experience? No, you might have been open to some demonstration of truth, simply looking around, seeing the lives of others, the unfolding outcome of a person who cares for others as opposed to a person who doesn't. And you may misunderstand it. You may see a person who cares for others as tending towards poverty all the time because they're charitably helping and giving away. And so think very much this is not the way to go, because I don't value poverty. On the contrary, I value prosperity and economic affluence. So you reject such ways and experience your life accordingly and find out if it works. And when you find it, say, doesn't work, you might think, oh, well, that's because other people had faults. It should have worked. I did everything I could. But they didn't help me in this. So you start to believe that perhaps it's very important that we help each other. After all, else the individual can't gain prosperity. So you start to be a person who, helps those who you value a great deal because you want them to prosper. You feel that this is right, this is the sort of society you want to live in. And then having done that for a while and ignored all those that you don't really care about, you may find that they tend to rise up and overthrow your position. They become enemies at a great cost. You may start to realize that therefore it's in your interest to spread the happiness rather wider, and so forth. What I'm saying is that self-interest is a self-destruct system. You taste it and you find its limitations and your wisdom grows. The care of the whole universe and all creation is still a self-interest. It's just that its self has become, if you like, rather greater in definition, more encompassing of the lives of others. Now you may still find some lives that are extremely destructive of all of what you're achieving and valuing, which is kindness and care of all. And so you will purpose to deal with and constrain, confine such lives to be less destructive. And, well, we hope you do it wisely, don't we? That you get it right, that you don't crush that which would have been of great value. Don't over-constrain, but that you don't under-constrain something so that everyone gets damaged. And it's a continual finding out, at least it is in this universe. But do you see increasingly the enemy is not other persons? The enemy is the wisdom or the lack of it, the ignorance that's driving all the persons around you. And sure, they're personified in all that you meet, all the people that you meet. But in some sense you might start to feel that the potential of all of us is to be good and wonderful. If only we can impart to them the wisdom and understanding, the benefit of the experience and the knowledge of that wisdom which is truly going to contribute to the happiness of everyone around us. We start to get an ideal in mind of not what is, but what could be. And we want to build towards that because, of course, we're still being driven by this desire for existence. And if we were not, then that desire, that drive would not be there. And we would fade from the picture. Whereas others, with a better in that sense, with an understanding of the value of existence and the desire for it, would increasingly take our place. If there is another dimension, which we'll call heaven, and if this dimension, which we'll call creation, is simply to school us for it, then of course our goals and values shift towards serving the next world rather than this one. And the greater that is felt to be of worth, the less you'll be anxious to continue existence in this universe, the creation. You will start to let go, except as far as you want the prosperity of all here because it's serving heaven. It's training and bringing up children of heaven to be adults in heaven. So for the love of others you may remain. That may be your driving force. Not your need to remain, except in that you have a driving need to support heaven. That's the interesting one, isn't it? And I think that's really what religion is about. Ethics is about achieving what you truly seem to need and value here. And religion is about what you might value of an eternal state of being that's not actually simply like what we see here, but that here, this universe creation, can contribute greatly to it, or detract from your possible enjoyment of the heavenly possibility. The result is we get investment in the future and sacrifice and so on. It's all about foregoing some of what isn't easily to hand for something that's not yet, but starting to present as much better and worth working towards. So you sacrifice the present for the future and for others, because you believe from your experience of living that such results in a blessing, the greatest blessing. Right. So people need vision, and vision that's valid. So we're saying, what is objective truth? In other words, vision that, if fulfilled, or in a sense is fulfillable in a way that turns out to be much better than what is at the minute. And that attractiveness makes the effort, the sacrifice, the investment of the things that we have and value in creation worthwhile, makes that investment worthwhile into a possible future that's far, far more satisfactory. It is this that potentially brings what we truly need to full maturity. And the things that we truly need may not be therefore simply the things of this world that we thought we needed, but were transitory. So Solomon is wise in that he seeks wisdom. Bit circular, isn't it? But wisdom's only of value if it achieves something that is going to be better than would otherwise be. And we are persuaded that that's a consequence of having values that do such. So we're seeking out what values bring out true blessing, and that blessing might not be in this world dimension, because everything here seems to not only be born but also die, whereas we seek life eternal. We don't want the deathbed. So we're hoping towards an imaginative alternative where there is no death, where there is no unhappiness, where there is all the things that we truly appreciate. What are they? Well, to date they seem to be joy, peace, security, things holding together, integrity, so safety, which seems to be something to do with predictability, which is something to do with laws that are good, situations that continue, that we can count on, dependability. We're starting to give a description of God, aren't we? And if you worship the embodiment of such beliefs, such values, it looks as though you start to move in the right direction. And of course, one of those concerns is that you be right, you do actually come across the values that do achieve such. And to some extent we seem to get some indication of that by listening to the wisdom of the wise and experiencing such as we do glean and hold to be true. And the experience from it adjusts our values accordingly. Thank you, Heavenly Father. I think I'll just listen to this recording through again to see where I've got to.